So let me get this one straight. Biden's collapse with young men wasn't Russian disinfo. It was your fault all along. You called them toxic. You mocked their sons. Now you're scrambling to buy back the very voters you ran off. Don't just like the video, ring that bell so you actually see what drops next. YouTube's not pushing this. You have to. Subscribe and hit that bell so we get in front of the people who still think young men are the problem. Roll the tape.
Hurry up.
For now, Democratic donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working class voters, commissioning new projects that can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places. The prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times, aiming to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online. It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things. Above all, we must shift from a moralizing tone, it urges. You had to drop $20 million and rent out luxury hotel ballrooms just to figure out you've been lecturing men instead of listening to them. Come on, man. This ain't rocket science. You've been treating young men like they're defective products, like they're broken and need fixing, not heard or respected. Now you're launching a shiny new project called SAM, short for Speaking with American Men. You don't need a catchy acronym. What you need is humility. Because here's the truth, you didn't lose them over one issue. You lost them the moment you made them the enemy of every single narrative. But this isn't just political theory. This next part is real life.
I also want you to talk about one of the newer articles that you wrote about why men drifted right in the previous election. I consider myself a resident expert on this because I am a man. So I feel like we could have an interesting conversation on the conclusions you reached in that article.
The issue of abortion. When we message to young men on abortion, or men in general, we do it from the position of, well, real men protect women. And if you care about the women in your life, you should be pro-choice. And that might be true. That is true. But we don't come at it from the approach of this is the reality that young men face about that issue. Because it's entirely possible that a young woman in college gets pregnant unexpectedly, and that could upend her life if she doesn't have access to abortion care. But it's also entirely true that the young guy who gets her pregnant, now he's on the hook to not only take care of this child that could be him, that could be coming into the world, but also to take care now of the mother of his child. And I think that it would be so much easier if we just understood that the problems we're having with young men shifting to the right, it's not because they don't agree with us on the policy. They do agree with us on the policy. It's because they feel like we don't understand the struggles they're facing, the actual struggles, not the perceived struggles of the masculinity crisis or whatever it is, the actual struggles. And instead, we just kind of want to blame them for all of our problems.
There it is, the part the left never says out loud. This isn't about men hating women. It's about the system pretending that men don't matter. She gets a choice. He gets the bill. And if he dares say, hold up, he's called a deadbeat, a misogynist, a coward. Men aren't asking to be coddled. They're asking to not be erased. We don't want to dominate the conversation. We want to be a part of it. But instead of hearing them out, the elite turn this into some weird anthropology study.
Yeah, good questions. One, let me save the folks from the Times and all the other great, print outlets some time. If you dig in on what Democrats are researching right now, you're going to find a lot of silly stuff. You're going to find people asking a lot of questions, people asking about syntax and do I drop the G from this word and this and that, and it's going to be a lot of that. So let me just warn everybody, that process is going to be very obnoxious for this 40-something. I would also say, we're really talking about young men, right? Young men who Democrats have not figured out a consistent pitch for how to get in front of. And I think it starts with authenticity.
These donors treat regular Americans like lab rats. The welders, truck drivers, military vets. They're not weird rural artifacts. They're the foundation of this country. And you're out here studying them like they're animals at the zoo. Trump didn't need a consultant to decode how men think. He just spoke like a human being. Meanwhile, y'all are out here obsessing over TikTok slang and syntax like it's gonna bring back Youngstown. And if you're still wondering why this shift happened, this next moment says it all.
I went on a left-leaning podcast that shall remain nameless, and we were talking about my kids because I think they were both people without kids. And they asked me about my son, and I said he was, he's a football player and he wants to be a policeman. And their joke was about my 15-year-old son, oh, how does he feel about minorities? Like the idea that he wants to be a policeman, therefore he's racist, my son. And that was the big laugh. And then I got dragged in the comments and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why you fuckers are losing elections.
100%.
Like my football playing son, who has no political views. He's 15. He thinks about World War II and gaming and playing linebacker. That's his world. You're deciding he's a racist because he wants to be a cop.
That moment right there, that's the break. A 15-year-old boy says he wants to protect and serve his community, and you immediately assume he's a racist. You just told millions of dads that their sons are guilty until proven woke. This isn't political anymore. It's personal. He's not thinking about systemic bias. He's thinking about football, gaming, and World War II. But the left, they see that and say, yep, future oppressor. You don't lose voters that way. You drive them out and they take others with them. So what's the gameplay now? Pray Trump scares them back? The bottom line here is Democrats still don't get it.
So you're the man here. I will not mansplain you. All I will say is, duh.
Yeah, I know. Look, they should have probably recognized this a couple of cycles before when this trend was growing very apparent. This was a huge problem for them in the past election cycle, and they need to figure it out because right now the Democratic message is really all over the place. What do they exactly stand for as they head into the midterm elections? But right now, it's a hope, really, among the Democratic leaders that voters will recoil what they view as overreach from the Trump administration. They will make the argument that they need to be a check on Trump's power.
That's the whole strategy. Trump's scary, so please come back. If your whole campaign is built on fear and TikTok influencers, you've already lost. Men don't need another moral lecture. You saw Barry Soetoro, Obama, give that dump truck juice of a lecture to those black men prior to the election. They need someone who speaks truth, owns failures, and respects them enough to stop with the identity guilt trips. The more you shame them, the more they mobilize, and not in your direction. If you're tired of being scapegoated, you're not alone. You know what to do. Like this video, share it, and hit that bell. Because if the algorithm won't move it, we will. I appreciate y'all being here. I'm eternally grateful. Thank you. God bless. Listen.